witch hunt that we all went through together is a disgrace. Now they're all blaming each other, do you see? They're all turning on each other. Isn't that pretty to watch? It's his fault. No, it's his fault. Nah, we caught them. They were spying. They were spying on our campaign. I'll tell you what, if that ever happened to the other side, this thing would have been over 2 years ago. And you know, it would have been treason. They would have called it treason. And that's what it is. It was treason. And it should never be allowed to happen to another president again. Ever, 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 ever. This phony witch hunt that we all went through together is a disgrace. Now they're all blaming each other, do you see? They're all turning on each other. Isn't that pretty to watch? It's his fault. No, it's his fault. Nah, we caught them. They were spying. They were spying on our campaign. I'll tell you what, if that ever happened to the other side, this thing would have been over 2 years ago. And you know, it would have been treason. They would have called it treason. And that's what it is. It was treason. And it should never be allowed to happen to another president again. Ever, ever, ever.
Ever, ever, ever. Ever, ever, ever.
Airborne,
right.
How true. How true.
That video was banned. Having an issue, folks. Yeah, put out that video, and it got about 5,000 views in a half hour, and then I got worldwide blocked. So Fox News is real. So basically, that video, I had a little intro, and then it was 13 minutes of Hannity, and it was a great monologue last night, him just breaking it all down. But so I don't know if I'm going to redo that somehow to try to get it out. Other than that, you guys just need to find the Hannity monologue from last night. He breaks down a lot of great stuff. Woodman got to see the video before it got shut down, but weird. So we did find out this real quick. Folks, we know Loretta Lynch in the tarmac meeting, all right? We've been talking about it for years. Just so happened Bill Clinton was at the same airport, landed on the tarmac, got off his plane, ran over to her plane, and they had a half-hour, 35-minute meeting. And all we ever got out of Bill was, oh, it's about the grandkids and golf. She agreed with him. We were led to believe the NSA captured the whole thing. They ended up getting in there. They might have talked for golf for a minute, grandkids for 2 minutes, and then the next 33 minutes was over a deal for her, what she'd get if she let Hillary off. They ended up beaming Hillary in on their iPhone. Bill called her and had a video chat. So now Hillary's basically in the plane via phone, and they're having a three-way discussion about the future, what to do, what to call it. But what we did find out was 2 years ago, summer of 16 or 17, Loretta Lynch went in to testify. It was behind closed doors, and we never knew what she said, and there was questions about that tarmac. What had came out last night now is released are these papers showing that she never told, or this is what she told Congress anyway, that she never told Comey to use the word matter instead of investigation. Comey came to Congress the same way on TV. We all got to witness that one, and he said that she did tell him. So one of the two's lying. You can't have both of these versions of the story out there. I never told him to say nothing. He's saying, oh yeah, she gave me this order to say this and use the word matter, and we know he went on to use that word because there's tape proof of that. So he actually listened. But that's what he claims. She claims the other. One of them's lying. Yeah, they're all pointing fingers at this point.
Finger pointing. It was you. It was you.
Mm-hmm. Just like Trump said there, we're witnessing them point fingers, blame game, and it's kind of hilarious. So yeah, I agree. All the mainstream's kind of sucking right now. Fox at least is playing a little bit of the narrative, and not all of Fox. It's just a few of the shows. All right, so we got a few of the shows that are really dialed in on this narrative, especially lately. So. But what did you hear this morning? What else is going on? What were you talking to me about Pelosi before we got on the show here?
Oh, yeah. She, according to what I've seen today on the news, I believe she's wants to put this impeachment off to the side because she wants, the way I understand it now, is she wants to focus on the 2020 election, which if they went for this impeachment and it turned out sour, they'd look worse than they already do. So she doesn't want any more of this to happen. They're going to have an emergency meeting for in the morning for the Dems, and they're going to discuss all this stuff, and she's going to try and push that issue. So we may not hear anything about impeachment for a while. We might hear a little bit about it, and they'll probably say stuff like, well, we're going to wait for our impeachment to see what comes up later on or something. Who knows what their angle is going to be? That's the way I take it. Of course, now I don't understand how that's going to happen because Nadler, he's going at no end to get people involved in courts and stuff. Holy cow, indictment. What, are you kidding me?
And if you watch him, you've seen the videos of him way back in the 90s under Bill Clinton when he was sticking up for not showing all the paperwork involved in Clinton's matter, and he's talking about how important it was to make sure that names of people that were brought into the investigation but had nothing to do with it, their names weren't murdered anymore, and we get them out of there, and we got to hold stuff like that back. He's taking no, not for this one, we need everything released, and playing this opposite character, and you're just like, whoa, buddy. It's not even remotely close to what you stood for. Well, and you can't say, well, times change, and that's not a matter of changing, upholding the law and what's right. Your matters can change on maybe issues of like this or that, but not like, well, we followed the law back then and to the books, but not anymore. We're not doing that game. It's like, whoa, what are you screaming for here? There's process, sir. So Pelosi's facing rising pressure to launch impeachment inquiry. This is 59 minutes ago. So like you just said, this is from Politico. See what she's saying here. So we're at an inflection point. More Dems pressure Pelosi on impeachment, but the speaker now is resisting the push, fearful that it would hurt Democrats at the polls. So Speaker Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to impeach Donald Trump, but a growing number of her members are trying to drag her to that point. Despite repeated announcements from the California Democrat that she doesn't want to try to remove Trump from office, including taking a hard line in a tense leadership meeting Monday night. Pelosi faces increasing calls from her ranks and file to trigger an impeachment inquiry. So there's a base, certain group of the Democrats are for sure still trying to push forward without any true, they were hoping this would have gave them something, this whole Russia made-up collusion story. It's just funny, though, that some of these people on Congress, like today, Collins, I think, out of Georgia, he was like, you guys have this narrative, and here we are. You had no proof. The Russian thing just came out, but you're still pushing forward with, you don't have the reason to do it, but it's almost like they're like, well, screw that last piece of the puzzle to actually have charges. Let's just go with it anyway. And it's almost like, man, when does that nonsense stop? It's and
once
then
enough is enough. Yeah. Well,
this guy made an interesting point. The other, I can't remember all the names, but the point of this is pretty good. They said, so this whole 2 years, you're investigating Trump. And they were trying to say that he was obstructing just by possibly tweeting or having negative things to say about the investigation. Hey, what do you think about the Russia investigation? I think it's a witch hunt. And then they're over there screaming, look, it's obstruction. But when you really look at the facts, he turned over everything they asked for. They didn't have to ask and then kick in doors. I mean, even though they did do that, but he turned over every bit of paperwork they wanted. They said like 1.5 million. They interviewed or drug in 300 people around him to talk to. 80 of them had subpoenas. I mean, they did everything by the books. And now that they had found nothing, and now that people are saying, well, let's just look into how this investigation got started. And that now the people that are getting investigated, just like Trump was, because if you asked Trump back then, did you do any Russia collusion? No. End of story. We're done here. No, we're not. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to dig for 2 years. So now that there was nothing, and he went through that process, now it's all being spun on them. Investigations back into how it started. Now they're screaming, like tweeting out, going on shows, talking just as much as he was. Is that obstruction? Well, no, it doesn't work both ways. We were pushing that on him. But for us. So it's like, well, if you did nothing wrong, what do you have to worry about this investigation digging into and finding something? It's like, why do you not want it to happen? So it's funny. It's really, really, truly funny to be witnessing this, folks. I think so. So It's
the sh- the shame of it is it's actual history. You know, in one point we kind of look really bad, but in the other point we look real good because of the opposition. Uh, Mr. Trump, President Trump, is on the correct path, and the rest of the world is seeing that. So you know, uh, the rest of the world, I think, looks up to United States for taking that measure, to get rid of our deep state, the evil people that we can get rid of because we don't know them all. But don't you think, Mike? I mean,
oh yeah, no, you're right. I
you know what?
mean, this is tarnished. You could look at it as an American issue, as a whole, all of us. We talk about the world stage and how they view us, and I mean, if you look at this nonsensical, Russia-Trump collusion, which there was none, we're finding out, but yet just the fact that they made up a story and wanted to use Russia, I mean, that hurts the country as a whole, that we had a fraction of people make something up and then pound it in, not for
Yeah.
2 years, and now that it's over, they like they said, they had the stacked that Mueller and all the people picked were all Democrats. If they had any chance and the right people in place, it was almost like a dream team investigative panel that they would want against Trump. It wasn't made up of people for him. It was pretty much all Democrat. They said, "Wow, we couldn't even got one Republican in there." Nope, we need it all, and then they still didn't get anything. So
That was the amazing part right there. I mean, as well as President Trump said, is he put up 20, was it 23, 24 mad Democrats? I
18
mean,
started out as 13 angry Democrats, ended up being about 20, 22.
it's something, but it's, and you realize, I hope everybody realizes that, these people are highly intelligent. They know where to dig and what kind of words they can, like word porn, get it all twisted together. But there, there, there wasn't even that fact to even try and play with. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm all wet, but I just think this is a fantastic time. Even though we do look a little bad in our country, we're fixing things. So I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
So today there was the House Democrat. They convened today, and they were supposed to have that McGahn show up, but he pulled a no-show. So the House Democrats convened Tuesday to hear crucial witness in a special counsel of Robert Mueller's investigation, and for the second time in 1 month, they came face-to-face with an empty chair, because we had Barr not show up, and now this McGahn. So McGahn, former White House counsel Don McGahn refused to appear, deferring to President Donald Trump's instruction that he not testify to the Democratic-led House Judiciary Committee. Chairman Jerry Nadler, Democrat from New York, has warned that McGahn could face stiff consequences for ignoring his subpoena to appear and sending a warning shot at the president today. Let me be clear, this committee will hear McGahn's testimony, even if we have to go to the court to secure it, Nadler said at the outset of the hearing. We will hold this president accountable one way or another, Nadler said. So there you go.
Why don't they devote that kind of energy to fixing our country?
Yeah.
What the heck? They've wasted so much time and money when they could have been doing something positive for us instead of trying to tear it apart. I'm really confused about that part. I mean, they are. That's why they got elected, is to go on there and do that. Why can't they function on their normal job?
Yeah, no,
holy
exactly.
cow.
They do a
Enough.
lot of meeting every day, wasting taxpayer dollars, but then arguing and coming to no agreement. Nothing changes for 10 years. Act like, well, we've been for that, the other side wasn't, and it's just this.
It's
So
crazy.
they want to get back to business as usual, which is getting Trump out of there, then getting back to just debating over things and never really moving anywhere. That's what they want. This is,
Yeah. Yep,
it's
yep.
crazy. So Nadler, He's a joke altogether. We're at an inflection point with the Dems, Pelosi said, which we just read. So what do you think on this? They're saying the D class is close, I guess, you know, for some of these some of the stuff we've been waiting on. It's right around the corner. That's a video I did today was talking about that. They showed several clips of D class, and that's going to just blow it wide open. Now, I'm also interested in this Papadopoulos character now, and as well, Carter Page. See, this Carter Page, when I kept hearing about him, he's Trump's campaign, he's a Russian agent. And then I finally, a year ago, looked into his background. I was like, who is this Carter Page? And, you know, boom, he retired Navy, 20-some years. I'm just like, whoa, how are they labeling him such a... How do you do that amount of time in the service and then get out and then end up in the Trump campaign? And then at that point is when the FBI realizes possibly you're part of the Russia conspiracy, you know, and then want to look into you real bad. They'd probably know all this and been tracking it for years. I mean, and then that's what I don't quite understand. But the funniest thing of all is Papadopoulos was over, I don't know, in the Ukraine or whatever, that they had that agent come up to him, a real beautiful lady, you know, enticing him with, you know, however, and they end up giving him 10 grand. And then he leaves the next morning or whatever to fly back. And when he lands at the airport in the States, boom, FBI's all over him, digging through his bags. He's sitting there, what are you looking for? You know, he didn't bring the money like they wanted him to. So he possibly hid the money over there. I don't know if he dug a hole or if he got a hold of people that he knew over there, maybe made some phone calls to the Trump people and they put him in touch. And they got this money and they're wanting to get the numbers read off of it. Because when the FBI pulls any of these kind of stunts like this, whether like Gowdy said it good, you know, the good thing about this is if they were, you know, doing phone calls on all these people around Trump, if they were doing undercover, there's records of all this, all right? They're supposed to keep records, really well records. You're going to have the actual phone calls that are recorded, the wiretapping that you're doing, all of it's there. So this was really funny that they gave him 10 grand for no other purpose to let him fly with it so he could break the law. And then when he landed, say, oh, you flew with $10,000 undeclared. That's a federal offense. We got you. But you gave it to me I was literally at the airport when your person handed it to me. Doesn't matter. I mean, that just seems really, really bad for them. So we're going to get to the bottom of all that. It's hilarious that this Papadopoulos has kept that quiet all this time, all the shows he's been on. But now that it's out, he can talk about it, I guess. It's
intense.
Know, and they want to, you know them, if they gave them 10 grand, each one of them bills is marked or kind of recorded. That's taxpayer US dollar they gave him. It's like, what was your guys' purpose for that now? We wanted to see if he'd break the law, you know? And
well, they set him up. But they do that all, even around here. Any detective, any kind of undercover agent does that kind of stuff. When they go buy drugs or buy weapons or whatever, all that money is serial numbers are recorded, you know.
Yeah. So, yes. In a case, I get that. I would understand the inner workings. We've seen enough movies of real life events where they have the FBI, contracted guy or the CIA guy that they get for. But playing with money to buy drugs and all that, and then making sure the bills are marked and then tracking it so you get the money back or find out where it flows to. That's one thing. But this doesn't make sense at all. Like, we already have a law on flying with money. So if people break it, that's where you get them. You wouldn't go around necessarily giving taxpayer dollars out, right to a guy that you know is getting ready to get on a plane, and then hopefully he flies with it so you can bust him with the money, then take the money back and put it back in your coffers, and then use that to put him away for 5 years or something. Seems a little bit like, the law's there, and if people do it, and if you catch on or you find out, you hem them up on the law, but you don't grease the wheels and serve it all up for him. And he was smart enough not to fall for it. That's the funny thing, on the other side of the airport when they're rifling through, and they couldn't ask him, like, what are you guys looking for? Our $10,000. Where did you put it?
Yeah. Hey, I just thought of something really funny, Mike. This is really funny. Can you
real quick, EO2 Dave, thank you, and Sherry Owens, thank you. Our country will be fine. Keep faith. Ben Carson, shut him down with common sense. A couple of super chats. Thank you guys. Go ahead, Woodman.
Check this out. This is really funny. I don't know why I thought about it. imagine this aspect. A whole bunch of homeless people get a hold of that money, and they, like say 100 or 200 homeless people, they split it up and go out and, wouldn't that be kind of funny for the FBI to,
Oh yeah.
explain that? How did your recorded money end up in the street of a homeless shelter or whatever? You know what I mean?
Yeah, answer that.
I don't know why. I don't know why I thought of that, but that'd be, gee whiz. Anyway,
other than that, I mean, it's just, we put, for them to, and then like when they possibly, to verify the dossier, they by protocol, they have standard operating procedures, folks. And it's like, all right, we have to go send 2 agents to go verify this guy. So they had 2 people go out, I guess, to verify this Christopher Still, and both reports came back like highly not good. This guy's bad. He's a liar. Can't be trusted. And they like literally classified that paperwork and then threw it into a safe. So then when they went to the FISA court, it's like, do you guys, well, how about this guy that you got the paperwork? Do we know anything background about him? Is he bad? No, we ain't got nothing bad on him. We don't know. But that was a lie, because they themselves, the FBI, just fired him. He was untrustworthy. He was going out to the media and talking. So they're like, you're done. You're not an informant no more. But yet then they used him to write this. So lots of little crazy things happened to taint the whole institution, which we always say, lots of, the rank and file are great people, lots of veterans, lots of good American patriots embedded in that do their day-to-day work really well. It only takes a few, as we've always said at the very top, to really, really mess up a whole good thing that could be good. I mean, that's typical case even in like a business or your local clubs like the VFWs or American Legions. You have a couple of bad people in there, you could really take the place to a different direction. So we've seen it. It's, it goes all the way up, folks. This isn't anything different. A lot of people are like, no, you have a lot of faith in our system. And you see, crooked coworkers daily and scammers, and that exists all the way up. All right. We're not breaking any news on that. But a lot of people have that in their head, like, no, these people have been vetted and all the way up. And it is a vast system, all right? Now, Trump, we saw Trump early on in his campaign working hard to get the good team around him. The big joke with the media was he had a revolving door for his campaign, and people were coming in and leaving out. And well, he is a traditional businessman, right? And that is if you're in business, you will make decisions quickly and often. If you need to make changes, you're not going to let something just keep nosediving into the ground. You're going to do things quickly and looks like you got that team close and really tight knitted. We've been seeing it unfold now. The swamp's been draining. So he didn't have a lot of good people around him in the beginning. It was a lot of people that kept coming around and having other agendas, I guess. But it looks like he's got that all worked out. The swamp's been getting drained. And I would say this, most DC people there, it has not been business. It's not a business to be ran like that. They don't know about letting people go, getting new people in. If people can't do the job, they just cover up for them. And when they shouldn't really be there, right? I mean, we've seen this. I always like to go to the movie like Casino with Robert De Niro, which I don't really care for at all anymore, right? He's anti-Trump, but the movie, the writer, Scorsese, whoever wrote Casino, I'm not sure if it was Scorsese, but made a good point, all right? He had a guy he hired down there in Vegas. It was one of the local boys, because these mob guys came in from outside of Vegas, so there was always that issue of you're an outsider to us actual people that live here. But he had hired a guy, and this guy had his feet kicked up on the casino table, and De Niro was really pissed about that. And he's he's supposed to be one of the dealers, but he's all kicked back with his cowboy boots up, and a machine had went off like 3 times in a row, and he came up and said, "What are you doing? This machine over there hit the jackpot 3 times in a row, and that's almost astronomically impossible. So there's a malfunctioning machine." And he's like, "Oh, blah blah blah." So anyway, he ends up firing him. And his, nephew comes in, or his uncle or something. He's like, "Hey, I think you made a mistake. You fired my nephew. I know he's a dweeb. He goes, no, I didn't make no mistake. He's like, either, I had a machine go off 3 times and there's protocol. You're supposed to shut that machine down and look into it. And he didn't do none of it. So either one, he was an idiot and didn't know, better, or 2, he was in on it. Either way, it's no good for me, whether, there's that, I didn't know. And people pull that all the time in your businesses. And it's like, I ain't got room for that. That's why the secret information, Hillary Clinton, people in the military and all branches that go through any kind of top secret protocol schooling to learn, you learn that if you make a mistake with a thumb drive and take it home, we don't care that you made a mistake, and you can use all these great words that make us feel sorry for you, but we're using, unwittingly you did something, or wittingly, either way, it's no good for the intel community. All right. We can't have slip ups. We can't have you making mistakes and giving us excuses like somebody might do in another job and possibly get away with it. So they write all those laws in, folks, for a reason. You're not going to be able to, I accidentally gave the Russians something. I didn't mean to, it's like,
it don't happen that way.
Yeah. And like we said, the good guy in the military that literally goes home in his uniform, working with sensitive computers all day, and reaches in his pocket, gets his car keys out, and then there's also that thumb drive, and he's like, oh, and he drives straight right back to the base. He's still going to go through a whole slew of stuff and most likely lose his clearances. So that was an accident. Like, did anybody access this? No, I didn't stop at any gas stations. Nobody pickpocketed me and then put it back in my pocket that I'm aware of. No, and then they're going to plug that in and they're going to analyze it. They're going to be able to see when it was last opened anyway. And if it was opened outside of, the base, the room, the secured facility, they got ways. All right. But, that still really goes down bad for that guy, all right? And that's like, well, they're trained to know better, and you're right, but it happens. The matter of what did it.
They take your clearance. They remove your clearance. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Not to me, but I've seen it happen. You in the military, well, at our level in the military, there was no such thing as an excuse or a reason for not doing the correct procedure or SOP. That's all there is to it. If you went outside of that borders at all, you lose your clearance right away, and I mean right away, and they find you a different job instantly. You're done. You're done.
I thought
there's no coming back either.
That's right. That's right.
You're done.
That's it. You're done. Hillary and them were all getting, I think they all turned their own clearances in just last year. I thought they were, due to criminal investigation, they were getting ready to get pulled, and then a lot of them really quick, oh, here's my clearance, self-turned in, just like they do with their law degrees when they're like, you're not going to be able to practice law, the New York's going to pull your bar or ban you, and then they self-turn it in, and it goes in the history books a little bit better. And, if you look at, like, did Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, did they all lose their right to practice law? And then you go look, Snopes is like, mixture, half true, they turned it in due to something coming, and you're just reading this little crap that they try to spin it, and you're like, yeah, it's real clear why they were going to lose it, but they did turn it in. That is a fact. They didn't wait long enough to have it get pulled from them. They self-turned it all, it's just the guys. So it's interesting, the whole security thing, folks. It's clear. Hillary talks about, she was one of like 35 people in the whole country, that can actually classify something. She's called a classifier. That was the rank. So not only did she have, high level intelligence to look at, she was able to, well, this should be classified, and then mark it that way, and then it gets put that way. That's how high level she was as a head of the State Department. So to act like, well, nothing I sent was marked. Well, you're one of the people that can mark it. I know, but I'd never marked it, so therefore when I sent it, it still wasn't marked. I'd never marked it. And then it's like, well, people behind you looked at it and they deemed it to be yeah, that's retroactive. See how they're trying to screw me? And it's like, no, you didn't do your job in the first place, right? So the guy behind just found it, and now you're trying to blame him for classifying something that you sent because it wasn't at the time. It's just a bunch of garbage. And she has no business ever in any government office ever again, ever. So sorry, Hillary, you had your shot, you blew it multiple times. You're done. You don't deserve, you don't deserve access to the lunch menu on the military base, all right? You don't deserve to know what they're having for lunch tomorrow.
Well, you know what they would do is send her out on these tank trails and with a rake and tell her to level them all out. I don't know if you've ever been on a tank trail or not, have you? They're humongous Volkswagen traps all the way through it,
Level them out.
Do some work. Do some real work. No, I shouldn't say that. They're gonna get they're gonna get theirs, and I think everybody that we know realizes that also. They're gonna get theirs. Just you can't push it. You can't be in a big hurry. You got to make sure everything's done properly. Because the way Democrats are now, they're gonna just pick anything apart like crazy. So if you have one hair out of place, they're gonna find it. So.
And I also, as far as these people, like it has been something in the past, and I think Woodman knows this. We're just talking to you guys, but it's like if you're the ex-head of the CIA or the DNI, Department of National Intelligence, or 17 different agencies, but if you're the head of any of them where you had clearances and CIA, FBI, and a lot of these people, as like they left out of the Obama administration into the Trump, they were no longer really active. They didn't have parts. They're retired or gone, and it typically kept their clearances. We've known that, but now typically they would be coming to the White House with the new administration and helping out in all kinds of areas and just really advising. But that wasn't the case with this. They all hated Trump, so none of them were coming to the White House. They were all only keeping their clearances and then going on to these shows and spinning opposite narratives of Trump. It was almost like they were not for Trump. They weren't for the elected president. They were pitching their old, political narrative. So they pulled all their clearances and they acted like that. Well, it is a tradition for us to have it. And it's like, yeah, if you're helping, you're not helping. You're actually like doing. So I would say the same with John Kerry. Brennan's going over to Iraq or Iran to talk. Brennan's been doing that. John Kerry, and he stood up for it. Like, tons of past Secretary of States go do this, and I'm just doing what they done. But again, if you are at least lined up with the current administration a little bit, and if that's Trump's agenda to do these certain things, that you have to line with that. If you're doing anything opposite, then you're going there on the behalf of the U.S., talking about opposite things. Don't listen to Trump. Don't call him. He'll be gone in about a year with this impeachment thing we're kind of getting up on. And that's how they portrayed it. And you can't do that. And if you defend that, or he's defending that, it's just, how long do we listen to these crooks? Did you send any classified email? No, I never did. We found out from even Comey she did. So we listen to these people time and time again. And of course, the guilty's never guilty.
Isn't Feinstein doing the same thing?
Diana Feinstein.
Calling Iran and in conversation with them.
Is that breaking out too now? I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's several of them. Creepy John Brennan to brief Democrats on Iran.
It's crazy. Get back to normal business. Quit screwing around.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that one. Pay women less than men. Tons of things happen, but we are definitely keeping an eye on the old D classes. All right, we want some D class. It's going to really set the narrative straight. Again, on the Papadopoulos thing, the $10,000. I guess they got some recorded phone calls earlier with the FBI agents and Papadopoulos, all recorded, and it's not good, according to Gowdy. He's seen a lot because he was on the Intel House Judiciary Committee or whatever Gowdy was on, but he's gone now. But he saw all this before he left, and he's like, there's certain things that I never knew if they'd make it out to the American public. But if they did, it will definitely enlighten some people with what was going on. So, and he's like, now it looks like that's all coming. So I think there is some big booms still coming here in the month of May, early June. but some of this is going to be here in the next couple days, folks. Hey, look for Friday or something. Typically things come on Fridays. They like to, the past administrations with dirt and bad things, it was always Fridays about 8, 9 o'clock at night or right before the close of business for the FBI. It's like, oh, you got that? Somebody's over at the fax like waiting. So what time is it? 4:59. Okay, go do it now. Send it off. It hits, and then that's shut down. Their locking doors are out of there till Monday. And they, hopefully the 2 days of the weekend will help this, melt down a little bit. So.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see here. We just kind of want to jump in and do a few of these things here. Talk to you guys about this. We got a decent amount in the room, 600. I got some Amy the Mod, John Hook. A couple of our mods in the room here.
Those mods are fantastic, man.
Looks like Amy's the only one I'm seeing. Nope, I see Simone. I see Randy Robbins, Simone Ellis. Thank you guys for joining in today. Who knows? We might be doing, depending on Woodman's schedule and everything, I might, regardless, do a live show later this evening on the Patriot Hour here. I put out one decent video today and it got banned worldwide, just for all of you jumping in. A video, about 5,000 of you got to see it before it got banned worldwide. It was nothing more than Trump talking a little bit and then some of Hannity's opening monologue, which was just great last night. So you guys need to go find Hannity, his opening monologue from last night. Watch that in full.
That's a shame that they banned it. Like, of course, they've been picking on you anyway, kind of, sort of, Mike. So,
Oh, yeah. And that's what's scary. It's like, wow, they're going to ban that one. They can go back in time and start really working the channel over. That's what's really scary. So,
yeah.
But
well, at least
who banned it? YouTube banned it. YouTube banned it. They or maybe it was Fox News themselves that put, like the last one I got from Fox, it was like YouTube did it on their own, and they said they never talked to Fox, but they just knew. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. I wrote something back, and they wrote back quick saying, we're not even going to send that over. Like, I was like, whatever, like they didn't want to.
They want to mess with it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. I actually got the exact same video redone, but I mirrored it. So I thought, I know by mirroring it, sometimes maybe they'll hit the audio portion up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. I thought that would be a strike. I don't know, because it got copyright takedown blocked worldwide type thing. So I don't know.
Wow.
There you go. The message I saw said Fox copyright violation. There you go. So,
wow.
I don't know. I'll look into it. Any final thoughts here, Woodman, or anything you want to?
Did we cover the storms out in Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas? That
was crazy.
Well, they're still having a lot of tornado watches for the remainder of the day and some tomorrow, but this storm was really wide. They showed, well, you showed also, they had, probably a good, I'd say 10 that tornadoes would come down in different locations, and this one cloud had come down and then it would go back up. Then on the other side or other end, it was doing the same stuff, and they had tornadoes in between there too. Now, I seen most of that yesterday. Then today, they were showing a lot of footage of destruction, man. I mean, you got to feel sorry for these people. Prayers out to them. Neighbors helping neighbors out down there for sure. Fantastic. I've seen it on the news, where, neighbors are going over and digging out the other neighbors that can, it's poor people. They've been rained on heavily. They're flooded. They have these tornadoes. Of course, it's Tornado Alley, but I still say there's something funky going on there, as far as why they're in that area like they are. So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Yep, you saw that. We did a little bit of a live on the other channel, and some of you might have been there, seeing the storms come in, and unbelievable. Somebody here just commented on something about we're not seeing anything. We're being told. Let me read it. And it's a good question there. Pessimistic pomegranate. Exactly. We cannot know what is happening behind the scenes, yet we constantly get told they, behind the scenes, white hats, are doing all sorts of unbelievable, unverifiable things. Don't make no sense. Well, what we are seeing in the just play out in the mainstream is this narrative that Trump and his family and the Trump campaign did all these things, and they looked into every aspect. They wanted to go after him for possibly obstructing. They wanted to go after him for making comments on cameras and then saying different things over here. And I mean, every little thing. Hey, he didn't tie his shoe and he tripped. Let's arrest him. I mean, so we saw that, and now that it's spun and like there really is connections with Joe Biden and his son and him doing things and his son getting kicked out of the Navy for doing coke, and then a month later on an energy board and then an investigation, and Biden threatens to stop $1 billion of U.S. taxpayers unless they stop some investigation, and then that investigation was leading to his son, and those are all real things. You look at this other person, they got bad connections. You look at this thing, you got, there's real things that they were all screaming about. So why would they scream now to not look into these? Well, it's not Trump, so we're not interested. Possibly, but I think too many people are woken up now to not see justice. Kind of, we're going to be left with all these. What are we going to do? I mean, this really happened. This uranium one deal, Hillary really did that. They'd be really concerned if it was Trump and his son doing it, I guess. But they're not so worried that it's anybody else. I don't know. It's real. We just witnessed the hypocrisy or a circus for 2 years. Now we're witnessing like hypocrisy and all these people spinning, and as things are pointing right to them, they're pulling the same things that Trump would. I'm going to defend myself, and say, oh, are you guilty now because you're defending yourself? Are you obstructing maybe because, we don't need to waste time on looking into how I started the investigation. We just need to move on. Yeah, we will. After we get some justice.
You know it.
All right.
Rightfully so, Yeah.
And again, folks, don't we just learned in the last 2 years ago the polls. Don't rely on them. Go with your heart, go with your gut. Everything, you're looking at yourself, and just ignore that crap, and make sure when time comes, you get down there and vote. Because if you remember last time up till 9 p.m., they're Hillary won, and they got it so wrong. Trump won by a landslide in the Electoral College, and they just had it all wrong. Their polls were 100% wrong, trying to get every single person to, because they know a lot of people are bandwagoners. We know it in sports, like, oh, I love the Bears. Well, I thought last year you were a Packers fan. It's, well, Bears won, man, I love them. So we got bandwagoners, all right? People will go off that. They don't want to be wrong. They want to be cool at work. And it's like, well, who's the majority for? Because I want to be with them. Instead of just thinking for yourself. So we're not going to listen to polls this year or next year or ever, really. Again, they're wrong, and especially from them channels. All right, I'm ready to shut this down. I got some things going on this evening, but I will be back. And if it works out, if Woodman can be back possibly later, maybe Ben, we could do a later show this evening. We'll see how it works out. Again, I'm Michael. This is Patriot Hour. God bless each and every one of you. Woodman, thanks for joining in, brother. It's always a great time. And all the Patriots out there. Again, thanks for EO2 Dave and Sherry Owens and EO2 Dave again. Maybe Q can provide us with a new platform. We the People Tube. That'd be cool. There you go. That's a nice name. We the People Tube. Yep, all about freedom and you hear something you don't like, you just maybe debate and comment on that, instead of shut them down. So I agree. Right. All right, you guys have a great late afternoon into your evening, and we'll see you back here later this evening for another Patriot Hour update. Have a great one.
Pray.
That's right. Never give up any of your freedoms. Can't get things back from idiots.
This phony witch hunt that we all went through together is a disgrace. Now they're all blaming each other, do you see? They're all turning on each other. Isn't that pretty to watch? It's his fault. No, it's his fault. Now we caught them. They were spying. They were spying on our campaign. I'll tell you what, if that ever happened, happened to the other side, this thing would have been over 2 years ago. And you know, it would have been treason. They would have called it treason. And that's what it is. It was treason. And it should never be allowed to happen to another president again. Ever, ever, ever.